Welcome back to Contemporary Black Voices, where our topic today is Black students and the pro-Palestinian protests, college protests. With me today is bad guy himself, Mario Salas. You know, I love Mario because he's a historian and he brings out stuff that I'm going to say a lot of people just don't want to talk about. And so we decided to have this conversation with the two of us on why aren't we seeing Black college students from HBCUs engage in campus protests as we're seeing at Columbia, Emory,
UT.
UT Austin, and some other major locations in the United States. Um, so one of the things that struck me was that we have a lot of the elite schools being threatened now, students being threatened now that if they participate in these protests, they will not be hired by the Fortune 500 companies, Wall Street, and companies like that. Now, we already know as Black folks, we have to, take several steps just to even get the interview as well as even get the job. But you think these HBCU students are listening and watching these threats as another reason as to why this ain't my fight.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I think that's true. That some of them are looking at it like I don't have a dog in this race, horse in this race, whatever, however you want to look at it. But nevertheless, because there was a lot of influence, Malcolm X had a lot of influence on college campuses. Martin Luther King, of course, did as well. And they would always make the comment that an attack or people being oppressed anywhere in the world is an attack against everybody in the world. So you don't see that massive protest on Black college campuses, but you will see Black students coming off campus and protesting in the street. We're not seeing the protest that's going on in the streets. The media has really focused on the college campuses. On the day that the students took over one of the buildings at Columbia, there were at least 50 street protests in New York City. Saw no media coverage of those other 50 protests. And some of them were as small as 20. Some of them had several thousand protesters, not on the Columbia's campus, on the streets of New York City. So they didn't even broadcast that they focused in on college campuses without focusing in on the street protest. And it made me wonder, I wonder how many Black folks were on that street protest. That you're not seeing that. So we don't know really what the numbers are because they're not broadcasted.
Well, the other thing that is hanging over our head is this anti-Semitism bill that got passed through the House and it's gone to the Senate, but it hasn't been approved.
I think it's probably going to pass.
Yeah.
If it hasn't.
And recently, a young Black student, college student, was made the face of anti-Semitism. And I forgot which university he was on, but he was uninvited to re-enroll at that campus.
Right.
And so it seems to be that this may not be our dogfight or whatever you want to call it. But whenever we do get involved, there are higher penalties levied against us when we do get involved.
Yeah, that's right. Well, and I don't necessarily know that what he said was anti-Semitic. He was talking about a specific religious view called Zionism. And it depends on what kind of Zionist you are. It would be like somebody saying, all Black nationalists need to be killed or kicked out of the country or whatever. Well, not all Black nationalists believe in the same thing. You got Farrakhan Black nationalists, you got Black Panther Black nationalists. They don't believe the same thing.
Right.
So when he made that comment, he probably should have been more wise in who he was referring to. And what he could have said was, I'm opposed to Zionism where it stamps or tramples upon the rights of other people. That's the kind of Zionism he probably meant to say. They didn't say it that way. He said, and let me tell you, if you say something in which someone can shoot skates up under you and have you rolling down some other alley because you weren't clear in your denunciation, then they got you. You know, it's like saying it's like saying Black Lives Matter, and then you know what they did with that? Well, then all lives matter. So they twist it.
Mm-hmm.
They twist it, and he got, in my opinion, he was not precise enough in how he should have defined the Zionism he was referring to, because there is a Zionist movement that believes in removing Palestinians and Arabs from the land that they've always lived on,
Mm-hmm.
taking over their land. If that's the Zionism he was referring to, that's a crime. And so Zionists who believe in taking other people's land and stealing it and removing, evicting the people that live there and then building their own settlements on it, that's a crime. That kind of Zionism nobody ought to support. And there are Jews who oppose that kind of Zionism. So they twisted the script, and unfortunately, the young man didn't know how to come back from that.
Okay. So there is a lot of lessons learned. Um, you know, do we get involved? Do we not get involved? What are the penalties of getting involved? What are the benefits of getting involved? And our Black college students are in a situation unlike anything I don't think you and I even experienced when we were going to college.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. Everything is questionable, but you have answered a lot of my questions as to why we're not seeing it. At first, when you were talking about the Bible, and I'm trying to figure out where is Mario going with this, but you brought it home when you were saying that growing up, we are told the Jews are the chosen people. Mm-hmm. The Jews are the chosen people. The Jews are the chosen people.
And that's okay, but that doesn't mean they can do whatever they want.
Right, right. And so you got that going on. Then you have a lot of our other YouTubers who are saying, this ain't our fight, this ain't our fight, just leave it alone, leave it alone. And we got our Black college students listening to these YouTubers and saying, you know what, you're right, it's not our fight, we've got other stuff to worry about. Mm-hmm. So to the young man who got kicked out of school, prayers go out to you. I'm going to be curious to see how you're going to navigate those waters, because it's going to be interesting, because these companies, I don't know whether they're keeping a list, but if there's a list, your name is probably on the top of that list right about now, because you have become the face of anti-Semitism. And going back to that bill, I'm thinking that as a Black person, we're going to have to we're going to get caught in some kickback from that bill to where it won't be a pleasant outcome for us.
I agree. Opposing the war policies of the Israeli government is not anti-Semitism.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
And opposing the idea that you can just go around and just completely eliminate an entire population of people, that's not being anti-Semitic also.
No, that's ethnic cleansing. People make the argument genocide, and probably right about ethnic cleansing. The genocide thing is probably going to require an investigation, and they've been finding mass graves. So we'll see if that's true. And it's always sad when you find an ethnic group that was treated so badly to then turn around and treat another group of people the same way that they were treated. And it reminds me of Native Americans owning slaves.
And we're going to have a conversation
Yeah,
with that.
That's whole other subject.
So with that being said, we want to thank you for listening in on myself and Mr. Bad Guy, Mario Salas, as we discuss and try to unravel this mystery as to why Black students on HBCU campuses are not publicly protesting on those campuses about the Gaza situation. So we want to thank you. And as we say on Contemporary Black Voices, we are telling our stories our way.